Grab a cup of tea or listen as you go, ladies. This is your hour with Dr. Zoe, your life and relationship coach. With encouragement, on-point insight, inspiring guests, health tips, and advice, Dr. Zoe helps busy women keep their mind in the game by redefining your superwoman. You're listening to The Dr. Zoe Show.
Hi there, it's Dr. Zoe, and it is a beautiful sunny day here in Burbank, California. And I'm a licensed psychotherapist, a life and relationship coach, and motivational speaker. And I believe that every woman has a superpower, and my passion is to help you find it, embrace it, and share it with the world. If you are struggling and wonder if therapy or life coaching can help you, connect with me by sending an email to zoe@drzoeshaw.com. And you can also join my monthly newsletter. I send out free monthly encouragement to you women holding it down out there. And who can't benefit from some encouragement, right? Get my newsletter by texting the word join to 38470. That's the word join to 38470. So today's topic, it's self-care and considerations for dating for you single women out there. And we'll get to that in just a minute. I have a guest who I'm really excited about chatting with, Dr. Robbin Rockett. And so today, as we start always, is my Superwoman win and my Superwoman bomb. And so why do I do this? It's not just to provide you guys with entertainment about my bumbles of the week, but it's also to share with you that despite many of my accomplishments, I'm an everyday busy woman just like you are. And I'm in the thick of it with my kids and my family and my dogs and my home. And I'm trying to do it all. And it's not about being perfect, but it's about loving the beautiful chaos that is this season. And so I'm offering you some camaraderie, and we are in this together. And remember, this season won't last forever. I remind myself of that every day. This season will not last forever. Stay present and do this thing. And so while you're listening to my wins and my fails and the wins and fails of my guests, I want you to think about yours. Write them down. Every week, I take the time to write down mine so that I can share them with you. And from this, I gain this time of reflection, and it's both an acknowledgement of my successes. I get to pat myself on the back, and it's also an opportunity to learn from my failures. Okay, so my Superwoman win this week, I'm pretty excited about this. I accepted an invite to be the keynote speaker at the NAACP Annual Freedom Fund Banquet in Ventura County in October. And I really feel this is a win because I'm growing as a motivational speaker, and I'm getting really great feedback from my speeches, and I love speaking to an audience. And I also work pretty hard to prepare for my talks, and so it's really exciting to see the fruits of my labor. So that's my win, my professional win this week. And so my Superwoman bomb. Okay, so my son had a track meet last weekend, and it was raining. It was like an hour and a half away from our house, and we were rushing to try to get out of the house. And you know how that is, getting all your kids out of the house, trying to get somewhere on time. And I'm like, everybody get in the car. Come on, we've got to go. I don't want to be late. I don't want to miss this first event. So we all get in the car. We drive an hour and a half. We get there. And as we're getting ready to get out of the car, my 5-year-old says, I don't have any shoes on. Oh, so frustrating. So, of course, that's my bomb, because as a mom, I should have checked to see that the girl was fully clothed, and she was not. And so I left the kids in the car, the older ones with my daughter. I ran out to the fence. I watched my son's first event, so I didn't miss it, and then got back in the car, drove to Target, bought her a pair of shoes, came back, parked, and we all got out and did the track meet. So you know what happens? You win some, you lose some as a mom, for sure. We cannot get it all perfectly. But remember, our kids, our families don't need us to be perfect. They just need us to be present, and they need us to be good enough. So today, my guest is Dr. Robbin Rockett, host of the Solo Parent Life podcast. Dr. Rockett is also a psychologist, and she works with my demographic ladies. She works with women who are struggling in all aspects of their life, struggling mamas and superwomen. And I'm excited to have her here today to talk about must-dos for the single mom. We're going to talk about all things single mom, from self-care to dating. Welcome, Dr. Rockett.
Hi, Zoe. It's great to be here.
Thank you. I'm so happy to have you here. And one of the reasons I wanted to have you on the show is because you are a psychologist and you are also a single mama.
That's
So
right. Of three.
of three. Awesome. Yes. And so you are going to be such a great inspiration and help, I know, for all the single mamas out there. But before we get started, we want to hear your superwoman win and your superwoman bomb.
All right. So my superwoman win is I just taught a class on tantrums and meltdowns to a room full of new moms. And it is one of my favorite things to do. And I teach it from the hand-in-hand parenting through connectedness. But my big message is, you're not in this alone. Have a lot of compassion for yourself. It's hard when our kids have meltdowns. Give them a few tools about that. But I just, know your tribe. Look around the room. Everyone in this room has been in your position and, help each other out, like be there. So that was really, it's just amazing.
That's awesome.
And then my bomb, so my son had a presentation at school where he was going to do a reading of a book that he wrote.
Mm-hmm.
And before that, there was like tea and cookies that each kid was supposed to like serve their parent. And I got caught at the DMV a couple of towns over. And so I was 10 minutes late. I missed when he got to serve me the tea and cookies and did the kind of walk of shame in the classroom in the back, and was late to his presentation. So
it hurts.
No matter how hard we try, it just doesn't always work out. It's hard.
It really doesn't. Hard. Yeah. And it is hard and it hurts. And I think that we've all had the walk of shame in some way or another. We all have. And that's what it's all about. You do the best you can. And then you move on and you know that your kids know they love you, right? Or you love them, right?
That's right. That's right.
Exactly. Okay. So I've listened to your podcast and they're awesome. And I'm not a single mom, but I've gotten so many great nuggets from them. So you don't really even have to be a single mom to get a lot out of your podcast. And so today I wanted to start with single mom issues and self-care. We're going to talk about dating later.
Okay.
And we'll get some advice from you as a psychologist and single mom. But first, Elizabeth Stone, she equated motherhood with making the decision to have your heart walk around on the outside of your body. And that statement, when I read it, I was like, that is so true.
That is so true.
It is. And I think single moms, they probably feel this even more because their kids are sometimes away from them for extended periods of time or for, times that moms who aren't single don't have that issue. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of parenting does cross over to being whether you're a single parent or not. But there are some specific, things to being a single parent. And I think one of them is, especially in those early days of being a single parent, maybe that first year or two going through a separation and divorce, where your child or children are with the other partner and you have this, a weekend, a night off. It can be really hard. Like, what do I do with that time? First of all, you're grieving that you're not with your kids.
Yes. You're
feeling really lonely. You're feeling really lost. And maybe because of the upheaval and the transition time for you and your family, you're feeling really upset. And so I really encourage, if you're in those early days of that kind of time, taking time to grieve the loss of the family, if you will, because now you have two families and it's a new beginning.
Loss of the dream.
But you've got to go through those feelings. The other thing, so that may be time alone, journaling, calling a friend and crying. But I think also at least one thing to look forward to. So it's kind of a balance, right? It's like, you're going to miss your kids and that maybe feelings about the marriage ending or about parenting in general are going to come up more because you don't have distraction of parenting. So you need the time to have those feelings, but you also need time off from all of it. So finding something, whether it's picking up a new activity, like I took up tennis through my divorce and learned how to play tennis again. I hadn't since high school. And it was social, it was physical, I was moving my body. I was really bad at it, but it gave me like a goal. And I couldn't think about everything or even missing my kids when I was learning to play tennis. So I definitely throw that out there.
No, that's a really good point. And I think it's also a really good point that sometimes actually the parenting part can be a distraction. And so that time away is good for you to be able to spend that time to grieve and to focus on what's actually going on in your life and where you want to go. So I wanted to ask you, do you feel like there's still a stigma in being a single mom?
Yes, I do. I mean, I think, it's a loss, and it's a loss for family and friends. And even if other people aren't your friends per se, they don't know you, but they know you're a single mom, like it brings up the fact that there's a divorce there. And if you're struggling in your own marriage or your parents got divorced or you're thinking about leaving your partner, I think seeing someone else going through it can be hard. It's also hard to know what to do when you see someone struggling. Like, in other words, if someone dies in your family, we all kind of struggle. How do I reach out to that person? What do they need from us? How can I be supportive to them? So this is a death of the family, and this affects the community.
Right.
And so the stigma, I feel like, is part of it ourselves. We feel a lot of shame that we now don't have that intact family, and now we have something new. We have a failure, right? Feels like a failure. And then the outside stigma of, what other people are, how they're perceiving or what issues they're going through and how they're taking in the fact that you're a single parent now. When I became a single mom, I had to grapple with both and find a way to build my own new support system around me, right? So, that meant that maybe some friends in the marriage I wasn't going to be as close to. I was making new friends. I was getting closer to other people, but I was looking for people who could not take sides, but to just know and understand me and appreciate me and as a friend. And that, when I looked for it in that perspective, people came, and again, I also did activities that put me in front of people in a different way that was unrelated to my situation. And so that if I was, in those early days on the playground and, I'm now the new single mom and I felt really different and lonely, I was reminding myself, this is hard. This is a new identity. This is going to take time to adjust to. And I need to make efforts in my life to sort of find people who get that transition, who understand, who maybe been through it before or are going through it, so that I don't feel so alone.
Yeah, I think those are really good points. And I think it's important for single moms to know, as you're stepping into this place, that there will be losses of relationships, that it's part of the transition. It's part of really, when we take on any new role in our life, we do sometimes lose relationships, but it also opens the door for gaining new ones. And sometimes I think the fact that you can gain new ones means that those new people in your life, they don't hold those same expectations that the other group of friends did for you as, a married woman or, whatever role you're playing at that time. And so there's definitely some benefits, I think, to opening yourself to the new relationships.
Yeah, as one door closes, another can open. And it definitely is it's a time of transition. It's not going to be forever. But when going through a divorce or separation, becoming a single parent is a whole new identity. And I do think that takes time to transition, grieving the loss. How do I want this to be? How is this going to be different? I mean, it's a whole mix, and it can feel pretty overwhelming, and you're pretty raw, I feel like, those first year or two. That's really normal. I mean, the only other things that are worse are like losing a child or moving. So, I mean, it's a big one. It's a big one, and we need to give ourselves time to adjust to it.
And so let's talk about some self-care. So single mamas, don't have as much time because we don't generally have that extra person in the house to give us a little bit of a break. And so how do we recognize that, number one, we are grieving, that maybe we need to work on getting over that transition? And how do we care for ourselves? We're going to talk about that in just a minute. We're going to go on break, and we'll be back with my guest, Dr. Robbin Rockett, talking about all things single mom. We'll see you in just a minute.
People ask me, how do you have so much energy? I am not a coffee drinker, but I love the benefits of matcha green tea. More antioxidants than coffee and a smooth energy, not the jittery kind that lasts me all day long. Perfect for you supermoms too. I have searched the world over for that perfect matcha for my smoothies, and I have found it at Kiss Me Organics. You can get it too at kissmeorganics.com. Enter the promo code Dr. Zoe, DRZOE, for 10% off and free shipping. Experience the smooth, healthy, organic energy of matcha green tea. KissMeOrganics.com.
Hi there, it's Dr. Zoe, and I'm here with my guest, Dr. Robbin Rockett, and we are talking all things single moms. So this one is for you single moms out there. And Dr. Rockett, how can people get a hold of you?
So they can email me at drrobinrockett@gmail. So Robin with 2 B's and Rocket with 2 T's. They can also visit my website, soloparentlife.com, and listen to some podcasts or go to iTunes. And they can also email me there as well. So on the website. Yeah, please reach out with any questions and stuff. I love supporting other moms.
Yes. And your podcast is awesome. So check out her podcast, Solo Life.
Solo Parent Life. That's all right. Solo Parent Life.
Yes. Solo Parent Life. Great podcast. And do you do virtual sessions as well? Therapy and coaching?
Yes, I do. Yeah, as long as you're in California, because I'm licensed in California only. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, great. Okay. So I wanted to talk about some of the issues that single moms tend to experience, and then also how we can self-care ourselves through those issues. So I think, one of the big ones is, how am I dealing with my partner? Am I being too lenient? Am I being too, stringent? How should I deal with my partner?
When you say partner, are you talking about co-parent?
Co-parenting
like
partner. Yes, the ex.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So co-parenting is a big one.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it really can set the tone as well for the kids on how you co-parent. The biggest thing is, going back, a lot of self-care for yourself if you've had big feelings about the separation, divorce, so that when you are working with your co-parent, you're coming from a place of, it's going to sound funny, I know, Zoe, but professionalism. In other words, I see the co-parenting, the best analogy is like a business relationship.
Yes.
And your business is the children. And I know that's weird because you were married to this person and, you had this whole life together and now you don't, and you have feelings about all of that. But I found it as a perspective, a way to hold yourself accountable, because you can't control how your ex-partner deals with it, or what they say and do, or text you, or tell the kids, but you have control of what you say and do.
Absolutely.
Having that integrity. And in a business relationship, if you've got a coworker being difficult or rude or not communicating well, you're not going to shoot them an angry text, or you're not going to go down to their cubicle and tell them what it is, in front of your coworkers, right?
Right.
You're going to, go call a friend and vent, and then find a way to communicate. You may need to take 24 hours to 48 hours to do that. But find a way to communicate that is professional, on point, and brief. That's one of the biggest things I try to encourage people to do. And that takes time and a skill to learn. There are therapists out there that can offer some support for couples co-parenting, not couples therapy, to help build what's best for the kids. But biggest thing is, how can you take care of yourself and hold yourself accountable?
Well, I think that's a great point. And I think that is self-care in your relationship with your co-parent. What do you call them? Your co-parent partner? Your ex. Yeah. That's so important, because when you actively work on taking those feelings out, then you're being appropriate. Whenever you look at it as, we are family, and we have to, when you inject all of your emotions into it, you're usually not going to come with your best self, because your emotions have to deal with all your past issues, any current issues you're feeling about the whole breakup. And so, it does sound kind of cold, but really it's the healthiest way, because that's also part of you moving on from the relationship, because it's really hard to move on from a relationship when you're still in relationship.
And you're going to be in a relationship with this person, but it's different. And the other piece I'd add to what you said is, you're putting the kids first. The reasons why the marriage didn't work, those are all adult issues. Those are between you and your ex, and now they're between you and your therapist or your girlfriends, right? They're not, you're divorcing them. So you don't need to roll into that anymore. So keeping it professional, keeping it on point, keeping it neutral, even if they're not.
Right. And that's the big one.
one, it provides the possibility that they may meet you there over time. But it also, I think, keeps for you the main goal here, and that is, our business is the kids and not about these old hurts. So let's get to the business about what, pick up logistics, what's best for our kid's struggling, I want to deal with that. Coming from that perspective can be freeing, but it does take a little time. So if you find you're struggling with it, I really encourage people to get extra support. I was in a divorce support group for women for about a year that first year. I found that really helpful. Gave me a place to vent, to think about how I could deal with it, so I could go back into my life, parent, co-parent, and do the things I needed to do in that transition time.
Love that. So my takeaway from that is, vent to your friends, your therapist, your sister, your family, your support group, and then respond to your co-parent partner professionally. I love that. That's awesome. So other issues are, when does it get better? Does it ever get better? I think a lot of single moms are kind of struggling with that over time.
Yeah, I think it does, for sure. The first part of it is so hard, because again, not only is there a death of the family, that identity has shifted within you, right? Like you're no longer a partner, you're no longer married, you're now a single mom. What does that mean? And then maybe you were raised by a single parent and that doesn't have a good meaning. Maybe you saw them struggle. So a lot of this is about how much effort you put into your own self-care, right? Because the more you can take care of yourself and all your understandable big feelings around the transition, the more you're going to be able to move through it and move on it. I mean, sometimes people get stuck in that anger and bitterness part, right? And a lot of that is anger and bitterness is really, as you know, it's kind of a cover. It's a lid on the pot. And inside that pot is this stew of sadness and loneliness and helplessness and all that stuff, right? So that's where that grieving and having time for those deeper feelings to come up, you know, friends, family, support group, therapy, whatever works, running, you know, taking up a new sport so that you can move through it. And I found it got better as I moved through my grieving in places that could hold that. And I really embraced my new life. I figured out, like, who is my tribe? Who can I rely on now? Who gets me and understands me in this new life I have? You know, my support system. It took time to build, but it has happened over time. And the hurt and the sadness around the loss, I think, grows less as you move through it, you know, through that self-care and grieving process.
No, I think those are really great points. And as you talk, I just hear in my mind a mom going, but I'm so busy and I have so much to do. There's so much on my plate. And when I take a second or try to take a second to myself, sometimes it doesn't work out because somebody interrupts me, or when that doesn't happen, I just feel guilty. How do I get to a place where I can even start any kind of self-care when I'm in this place?
Well, first of all, guilt implies you've done something wrong. And if you're wanting to do something for yourself, but it didn't work out, that's not your fault. You didn't do anything wrong, right? It didn't work out.
Right.
So it's self-compassion. I mean, I found when I work with moms around this, we have a strong critical self, high expectations, lots of shoulds, right?
Those shoulds.
And if those are really strong and paramount, we don't have a compassionate friend inside ourselves to call upon to turn that volume down, then we're going to get into trouble. We're going to feel more anxious. Our fuse is going to be shorter. Our patience is going to be less for our children, for ourselves. And you're going to find you're stressed all over the place. So if that's the case, your body, your behavior, everything's telling you, you need to slow down. You need to find and take that time. So that may be, you know, asking someone to watch your kids, or when you drop your kids off, don't clean the house. Go lay down on the couch and just breathe, or go call a good old friend, or watch a movie. You know, if you've had a hard day, you don't have to make the dinner and do the whole thing. Give them, you know, breakfast for dinner and call it a day and just take moments. Being aware of when you're tapped out, when your bucket is empty or close to empty, if you will, and giving yourself permission that's where I'm at right now. I think that's a huge step, rather than I should be doing this or why can't I?
Right.
So the first is kind of shifting. How are you talking to yourself? How are you giving yourself breaks? And then the second is finding moments to do that, you know, kind of thing.
And recognizing when you're out, when your tank is empty, you cannot run. And so you have to stop and you have to refill. And when you talked about a friend, finding a friend, or being a friend to yourself, whenever I get into those situations where I'm, you know, totally stressed out, or I just don't know what to do, or I'm kind of at my wit's end, I do talk to myself and I do say, okay, if I were my friend, what would I say to myself? Because often we speak so much nicer. We treat our friends with so much more compassion than we do ourselves. And if we can kind of flip that script and say, what would I say to my friend in this situation? What would I tell my friend to do? And encourage and give her, you know, the permission to do. And sometimes that can be helpful.
Zoe, that's lovely. I think that's perfect, because you're calling on your compassionate friend that you offer to people all the time for yourself. And I think we tend to be the worst at it with ourselves.
Without a doubt.
But it's in there. We're usually good friends to most people. And so, well, why not? I mean, we're not perfect. This isn't about getting it perfect. You know, and we get redos. So if you didn't notice your bucket was empty and you yelled at the kids, you know, you get a redo. You get to go and notice, okay, my bucket's empty. I need to go take a moment, you know,
Did you hear that, ladies? You get a redo. And that's the beautiful thing about our kids is they really do give us those redos, don't they?
They do. If you did do something and it involved the kids, or they told you something about, their dad, and you just immediately responded with a negative response, and then, oops, you get a redo. You get to go back and own that with the kids with compassion, but start with yourself. Like, okay, my bucket's empty. What do I need to do? Do I need to take a break, go to my bedroom and take 3 deep breaths, or go to the bathroom and splash water on my face, or call a friend and vent for a few minutes? But then go back and repair that with your kids, because we're not perfect.
Absolutely.
We're not perfect. No one is perfect, and we all make missteps. And that we have them in mind too, right? I'm sorry I said that. I know that probably hurts your feelings, or I'm sorry I yelled at you. I'm really tired today, and I'm going to try differently next time. Next time I'm going to eat a banana for breakfast, and I didn't eat anything, whatever it is.
Right.
And our kids learn something there too, but then we also get to tell ourselves, I don't have to get this right all the time. I just have to be more aware of myself and what I need. And sometimes, like you said earlier, as a single parent, you're on and you don't get that break. But, if you can see that you're a little off that night, then slow that night down. Lower your own expectations of what needs to happen so that you can try to refill your tank in some way.
Absolutely. And remember, we are in a season. We're always in a season. And sometimes it helps to really go back and reevaluate your life and where you are in this season. Ask yourself, what are my main goals for this time period in my life as a woman, as a professional, as a mom? And if anything you're doing doesn't serve that in this season, you need to let it go and know that maybe that's for the next season. Because sometimes we're trying to do a little bit too much, and we have to recognize we have to prioritize and get our priorities on our calendar. So we are here with Dr. Robbin Rockett, and we are talking about all things single moms. We're going to come back and give just a couple more tips for self-care, and then we're going to get into single moms and dating. We will be back in just a minute.
People ask me, how do you have so much energy? I am not a coffee drinker, but I love the benefits of matcha green tea. More antioxidants than coffee and a smooth energy, not the jittery kind that lasts me all day long. Perfect for you supermoms too. I have searched the world over for that perfect matcha for my smoothies, and I have found it at Kiss Me Organics. You can get it too at kissmeorganics.com. Enter the promo code Dr. Zoe, DRZOE, for 10% off and free shipping. Experience the smooth, healthy, organic energy of matcha green tea. KissMeOrganics.com.
Hi there, it's Dr. Zoe, and I am here with my guest, Dr. Robbin Rockett, psychologist and single mom. And we are talking about all things single moms. Dr. Rockett, can you just give us a few good self-care tips for single moms before we start talking about dating?
Yeah, a few big ones I think are, one, evaluating your support system. I encourage people that if someone's particularly negative or just they're not getting it or not very supportive, to take a break, even if it's temporary, during this time of transition for yourself, so that your support system is strong. That's important. When you notice your bucket is empty, when you're feeling triggered or upset or having a particularly bad day, to stop and breathe. Take a moment, whether that's parenting or, responding to the co-parent, stop and breathe, and regroup before you respond, so that you're not responding from the fears and the anger and the big feelings, but more from a place of introspection. If that's really hard and you find yourself, the self-care, everything you're doing isn't enough, join a support group and or individual therapy or both. I found a support group to be just really, really helpful.
And can you find one online?
You can. If there's not one in your area, you can go to meetup.com. But in LA, I'm sure there's a lot of support groups. You might even try, I'm up in Northern California, so I can't give you specifics down there, but I would even call a local therapist if you're not sure and ask them for referrals. But I would Google divorce support groups for moms.
Okay.
And then the last thing about self-care, especially in this time of transition and bringing on this new identity, is try something new. Try something maybe a little out of your comfort level. A new sport, a new interest, something maybe you've always wanted to do when you were married, but you never got around to.
I love that.
Try it because, one, it's a distractor. You will likely meet other like-minded people, and it's something to look forward to and enjoy.
I love that one. Thank you. Those are great self-care tips for moms. And I really love the one about sometimes you have to let go of people who are not serving you and encouraging you in that moment. So let's talk about dating. And we're going to talk about a couple of things about dating, but of course the big question always with dating is, when do I introduce the guy, right, to my kids? And I wanted to talk about that because there's two camps about this whole idea. And I was just listening to Ayanla Vincent talking about this whole idea, and her argument was, why do you wait? She said, I have plenty of girlfriends who have come into my life and gone out of my life more than I have guys, and it's just not that big of a deal. And so the waiting thing is really your issue as a woman about all the hopes and dreams you're putting on this guy more than it is about the effect it has on your kids. And I thought, that's a very interesting perspective. What do you think about that?
Well, I can appreciate what she's saying in the sense that, but I guess I come from the perspective of when we're thinking about dating and introducing them to our kids, we're thinking about it, how are the kids going to see it? And yes, they're going to see maybe girlfriends come and go, but if this is your special friend, this is somebody who you have strong feelings for,
they're going to see that. Yeah.
So they're more likely to get attached. It does matter how old they are. Younger kids, and not every kid is the same, but in general, younger kids are going to get more attached more quickly because, especially if a new adult that's important to you, but also a potential father figure.
Right. And also, you probably weren't likely to have many male friends in the past, like you have girlfriends. And so that's kind of a normal dynamic for the kids. And then to see another male coming into your life when their father has exited, it does, create definitely a different dynamic and meaning for the kids, I'm sure.
Well, and we're talking about a boyfriend, right? Because if you have guy friends, that's different. But if it's a boyfriend, they're going to do more activities with you. They may be eventually involved in a little bit of parenting. If that you're comfortable with that, they might move in with you. So it's a different relationship, and it's going to have different meaning. So I encourage parents to wait and make sure that the relationship that they're in with their partner is something that you're both ready for and taking it to the next level, introducing them to the children, because it will change. A couple of things might change. One, your new partner may have a very different parenting style, one that you maybe don't like. So that's going to bring in new issues for the couple. So I always tell people, talk this through. Or maybe your partner isn't very interested in getting very close to the kids, but they want to be with you. You want to really evaluate how are you with that? Are you ready for that? Do you want to have your boyfriend meet your kids, know that he will not be around as much? Because the more you're clear and your new partner are clear on that, on sort of how you want to negotiate this right now, then when you talk to the kids about it, it'll be clear, right?
Yeah.
It won't be too wishy-washy. And I think it's respecting the fact that kids are going to have their reaction. Younger kids tend to want to get more attached. Teenagers are like, I don't care, and might even have an attitude or do some acting out. Those are all normal things. Not pushing the new relationship on the kid is also another. Your friend was kind of saying that, this is no big deal, but then sometimes people make it a really big deal and want them to call him dad or all of these things. And I encourage people, go from the kids' pace. It may take them time to warm up to this new person, and that's okay. They may warm up very quickly. That's okay. But
and some children are going to act, one child might warm up, the other child is not warming up at all.
Right. Yeah. So, and everybody should have their own way of doing this, as long as it's respectful and being able to, talk about their feelings, have them build their own relationship, because they will over time, especially when you give that space to do that and not force it on the kids.
And, it's funny because at 42 or whatever, I'm 43 now, I met my mother's boyfriend. I guess I don't even know. Maybe that's not what you call them, but my father died 4 years ago, and she's, dating, and she has a relationship with this man. And all the feelings that I have about that whole relationship are so kind of confusing and mixed up. I can only imagine as a child what kids must be feeling and, participating in that dynamic. So
that's right, Zoe, and so giving them room to have those feelings, being able to talk to them about it, but so you want to be ready for that, right? You want to be ready in your relationship with your new partner to take on how the kids are going to respond to that. And you want to ideally do that as much together as you can.
No, those are really great points. And so you mentioned a partner who might want to be very involved with the kids and a partner who doesn't want to be very involved with the kids. Do you think that relationship can work out with a partner who doesn't really want to have much to do with your children?
As long as you're okay with it. I mean, the
Okay.
biggest thing about dating is really communicating with your partner and continually being clear on what you want.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're wanting a relationship where you eventually want someone to move in and co-parent with you and maybe even get married again and all those things, I would be clear about that with your partner. I mean, not necessarily the first date, but
Sure.
you want to see that this person's going to move through this similarly with you. If they just want to date you and they know you have kids, but they're not really interested in getting to know them, and that's different from what you're hoping for in the long run, it's probably not going to be a relationship that's going to be a good fit for you, even if everything about this other person is really, really great.
Right. I mean, I don't see how it could really work out long term in a family situation with your kids if the partner is really not interested in being in your kid's life.
I would agree with that, but it also depends on the ages. I mean, if
True.
your kids
Well,
are
of
in high
course.
school about to
Yeah.
go to college and they're not around as much, it may not be as big of a deal to
That's
have
true.
a co-parent right there. They may meet the boyfriend from time to time, but they're about to launch. And so I think that's okay. But I definitely think as your kid, the younger your kids are, the harder that this is, to do.
Very good point. Very good point. And so then I think that leads me to the next question of what should the point of dating be when you're a single mom? And maybe it is very different over the different stages of your children's lives. I mean, obviously, my mom doesn't need to consider me very much in her relationship. Um, but, when you have younger kids, I think that whole idea is, should it be different as a single mom than it is when you don't have kids?
I think inevitably it is. I mean, as a single parent, your kids come first, period, right? I mean, that's just the way it is. And so when you're dating, okay, if my kids come first, then how do I incorporate someone new in my life? Well, first off, I want to say when you start to date, I encourage people to really evaluate, why are they dating right now?
Yes.
Are they dating because they're lonely or they're overwhelmed with parenting or they're overwhelmed with finances and they want someone to come and help them with the burden? If that's the case, that's not likely to succeed in the long term.
Absolutely.
Because you're coming from a place of fear, right? And overwhelm and stress.
Right.
So getting yourself in a place where you really understood and joined with your new identity as a single parent, built your tribe, your support system, learn how to manage in general, being a single parent, and you're ready to have a partner join you in this new life that you have. And it's a great life, whether this new partner's in it or not. So it's a gift to them to sort of have them come along in this ride with you and their great life, right? I think that's much more of an empowering perspective. And from that perspective, some of these questions you're asking, I think, tend to get filtered out. Because if you're clear on, my kids are really young and eventually I do want to remarry, so I'm interested in being with a man who would be interested at some point becoming a stepfather, then you're going to be seeking out men who have those kinds of goals. That doesn't need to happen in the first 6 months or maybe even a year of the relationship.
Right.
The two of you are building that relationship to see if it's going to work long term. There's no rush in involving the kids. But when you do, you both know that that's the next level, as would be moving in.
Right.
But I interviewed a woman, her kids were in high school, her new partner's kids were in high school, and she was very clear she never wanted to remarry and never wanted anyone to move in. She fell in love with a man. He had two teenagers too. They lived in separate but very close towns. And they both just decided, you know what, we've got 4 or 5 more years with our kids in school. They didn't want to move their kids, either one. They didn't want to move in and mix it up. They're involved in each other's lives with their children, and they also are a couple. And I think it works well, and their kids accept it well, even though at first they thought, are we going to move? Is he going to move in? But when they were clear as a partnership, when her and her boyfriend were clear, like, this is what's best for us, this works, then how they communicate with the kids was they were able to accept it in their own way, and they all make the best of it too. The man is very involved with her kids, but he's not going to be living with her.
Right. He's not going to be dad. He's going to be her partner. Yeah. That's beautiful. And I love the way you said that when you've created a life that you are comfortable with, when you've created your good life, whatever your good life looks like, that's the time when you bring somebody else in. I love
Yes.
that. Okay, this is Dr. Shaw, and I'm here with Dr. Rockett talking about single moms, all things single moms. We're going to come back in just a minute, and we are going to answer a question from a listener about being a single mom. We'll be back in just a minute.
People ask me, how do you have so much energy? I am not a coffee drinker, but I love the benefits of matcha green tea. More antioxidants than coffee and a smooth energy, not the jittery kind that lasts me all day long. Perfect for you supermoms too. I have searched the world over for that perfect matcha for my smoothies, and I have found it at Kiss Me Organics. You can get it too at kissmeorganics.com. Enter the promo code Dr. Zoe, DRZOE, for 10% off and free shipping. Experience the smooth, healthy, organic energy of matcha green tea. KissMeOrganics.com.
Hi, guys, it's Dr. Zoe, and I'm back with my guest, Dr. Robbin Rockett, and we're talking about all things single mom. And we're getting ready to answer a question from a listener about being a single mom. But first, I'm going to give a quick health tip. And my health tip today is all about self-love. We're talking about self-care, and part of that is loving yourself enough to care for yourself. And I know it's totally cliche, but come on, that self-love is so necessary. And so for some encouragement in this area, I want to share this self-love pledge from thewomandoc.com. So listen, relax, and absorb, and think about whether you're incorporating these things, this type of self-talk into your life. I pledge to love myself without conditions, to allow my love for others to be an overflow of my own self-love, to accept myself exactly as I am right now, open my heart to the love and kindness coming from others, to love others without conditions and cut the unhealthy strings and expectations, to take down all shields that have protected my heart, to forgive others for the harm I perceive done to me, to forgive myself and let go of the past. Never sacrifice myself in order to get an emotional, physical, spiritual, or mental need met. To meet my own emotional needs and not look to others to meet my needs. To rid my life of anything that no longer fits or supports me. To take extreme care of this body. To create quiet, alone time every day. To listen to my heart over my head. To speak my truth and always think for myself. Never give my power away to anyone at any time. To carve my own path in life and not just follow another because it seems easier. To express myself and create through whatever form interests me. To do what I say I will do and not say I will do something when I really don't want to do it. To be more childlike every day, to sing, dance, and have fun. To make a list of everything I want to experience and do it. Be at choice in every area of my life. Take complete responsibility without shame or self-blame for all experiences and relationships. To own my worth and not look to anyone or anything to prove that I am worthy. Finally, I pledge to dream bigger and bolder every day. And as I consistently take inspired action in the direction of my dreams, I know that the universe is conspiring to make my dreams a reality. That is the self-pledge that I think every woman should have for herself.
That was awesome.
Thank you. Well, that's from thewomandoc.com. So here we are. It's real talk time. And if you're just tuning in, it's Dr. Zoe, and it's real talk where I answer questions from my listeners and I share my own musings and encouragement. Please reach out if you have some questions you'd like me to address on the show. All questions are anonymous. I take your confidentiality seriously as if you were my own client. You can email questions to Zoe at drzoeshaw.com or connect with me on any of my social media. So today I have a question from a listener about being a single mom. She says, I feel so uncomfortable, like a third wheel around other moms who aren't single. Because of where I live and who my young kids hang out with, I'm always the only single mom. How do I get over this feeling?
Oh, well, first of all, lots of compassion to her. It sounds like she's a newly single mom or in a new area.
Right.
And it is hard to be different, right? When there's most of the people around you aren't single parents. But there likely are single parents around somewhere in her community because 50 to 60% of marriages don't last.
Right.
So I encourage her to find her tribe, find other single parents out there. And I also encourage her to have a lot of compassion. It's hard, and we have our own stuff around being a single parent, right? Our own judgments around it. So what is she saying to herself that's making her feel so different in such a negative way, rather than feeling empowered and getting some support around that? Again, with us finding people that are also single and venting, or just kind of coming to terms with maybe some grieving of why and how she became single, so that it's not so shaming.
I agree. And, it's also important to recognize as a single mom that other people are not focused on your singlehood the way that you are. They just aren't. And I know I'm not single, and having had friends that are single, I notice sometimes that they mention it a lot, that they might say, oh, I'm a single mom or something. And I don't think I ever say, oh, well, I'm not a single mom, or I'm a 2-parent household. And so I know that it is an issue that you have. And I am sure that you feel, kind of like that ugly duckling or just different. But it's important to recognize that other people aren't focused on it like you are. And so if you can see that and be in the moment and recognize that they're not thinking about it, you're probably thinking about it so much more. And the other thing is, when you talk about finding your tribe and finding the group, I think it's so important that when you do try to start reaching out and, connect with that mom's group or go to meetup.com, that you try it 3 times. Because sometimes that first time you're already feeling a little awkward, you're feeling nervous and self-conscious. So being able to make yourself try it 3 times will be a really good kind of evaluator of whether that's a good friend or a good experience or a good group for you.
Oh, that's great advice, Zoe. Yes. Especially when it's brand new and we're already feeling insecure. It's hard we're vulnerable, right?
Yes.
We're reaching out and stuff. So,
and we don't bring our best self. So, and other people might not either, because it's new and it's an introductory. So, I just encourage you to be that friend to yourself that we talked about, and treat yourself as you would a good friend, and recognize that other people aren't focused on it. You are, as you should be, because this is a difficult place that you're going through in your life right now. And it is a season, and you will move through it, and you're going to develop confidence as you work on it. So thank you, Dr. Rockett, for coming and really sharing your experience and your expertise with my listeners. I really appreciate having you today.
Zoe, thank you. I'm so grateful to be here. And it was just lovely and a lot of fun to talk to you. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
You're welcome. It was great. And you can get a hold of Dr. Rockett at soloparentlife.com. Yes, I said it right. Okay, so thank you everyone for tuning in to the Dr. Zoe Show. Tune in next week and every week. And if you know a friend who may benefit from any of my topics, please spread the love and share my show. And if you like my show, please show me some love with those stars. You can connect with me at drzoeshaw.com or any of my social medias at the handle Dr. Zoe Shaw. Join my free newsletter by texting the word join to 38470. And I look forward to speaking with you wonderful ladies on social media. Have a great week.
You've been listening to The Dr. Zoe Show, redefining your superwoman, with your host, Dr. Zoe Shaw. Don't forget to sign up for her monthly newsletters to get encouragement, tips, and skills for keeping your mind in the superwoman game. Connect with her now at www.drzoeshaw.com. Tell your friends and subscribe to her podcast on iTunes. Join us next time for another edition of The Dr. Zoe Show.